This is the Tiggo 8 Pro Max. Oh wait, that's my iPhone. This is the Tiggo 8 Pro Max. This is Chery's first 7-seat SUV. This new SUV competes with the likes of the Mitsubishi Outlander and the Honda CR-V. It's only petrol powered, no hybrid yet, but it's priced at a very compelling $41,990 drive away. But despite its iPhone-like name, what is this car actually like? Is this the bargain competitor that is finally arriving to the Australian market? Well, in today's video, we're gonna find out. Before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe, as always, to Chasing Cars. Chasing Cars, honest reviews of your next car. Brought to you by Budget Direct. This is the top of the range ultimate all-wheel drive variant and has been priced at $47,990 drive away. If you compare it to high-spec 7-seat rivals such as the Mitsubishi Outlander Exceed Tourer and the Honda CR-V VTI L7, the Ultimate is certainly the more bargain proposition. The new Chery Tiggo 8 Pro Max is feature-packed for the outlay, and as standard, features the following equipment: 18-inch alloy wheels, heated and ventilated seats, synthetic leather upholstery, dual 12.3-inch screens, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity, LED headlights and taillights, and dual-zone climate control. This Ultimate grade adds a panoramic sunroof, a 10-speaker Sony sound system, larger 19-inch alloy wheels, privacy glass, and of all things, a fragrance system. So what's it like inside the new Chery Tiggo 8 Pro Max? Well, this certainly is a premium feeling interior. For this price point, it's really impressive. You've got a lovely steering wheel. The seats are super comfortable. Both of these aren't pure leather, but they feel just like normal leather, so that's still nice. You're not going to miss that. There's certainly nice touch materials. The gear shifters are really well finished. You've got this sort of wood trim that goes across the dash, which is quite nice, although real wood would have been awesome. It's just a really sort of polished interior, and they've really thought a lot about how to do this space properly. The only sort of gripe I have is with the piano black plastic around the place. It really smudges and scratches easily, so that's not so good. And the really good thing about the Tiggo 8 range is that even in the base urban or the mid-tier elite, it still feels premium inside. The materials are all very similar. You can't really tell the difference, so that's awesome. If you don't have the money for the Ultimate, you can still get a nice interior with the base model. Now, speaking about the screens and the technology in this car, all of the Tiggo 8 range get dual 12.3-inch screens, one for the instrument cluster and one for your touchscreen. They generally work pretty well. There's a lot of function and feature in there. It can get a little bit overwhelming, but I think that with time, you'd learn those systems very, very quickly. You've got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and all your safety systems can be adjusted through the touchscreen. So that's always good. So with this Ultimate grade, you do get a few extra features, such as a larger 10-speaker sound system, which has a very weird looking Mercedes-Benz style Burmester knockoff there, which is funny. You also get, as standard, a panoramic sunroof, but all Tiggo 8s get USB-A and USB-C ports in the center here, a wireless charger, you get 2 decent cup holders, and you get decent door bins as well. So there's a lot of practicality blended in with this package, and I think it's really impressive. So what's it like in the second row of the Tiggo 8? Well, I've got enough knee room, pretty good toe room, and fairly decent headroom actually. I'm pretty comfortable. I like these sculpted headrests. They're very comfortable. They will be good for long trips. Back here you get rear air vents, which is awesome. You also get USB-A and USB-C ports and a little thing for your phone to sit into. You get sort of pretty small door bins, but all in all, it's nicely done back here. And also, I must mention that this brown interior, you don't have to go brown. It is an option only for the Ultimate grade. So what's the third row like? Well, unfortunately, it's a bit hard to get into. This doesn't really slide far enough forward in order to get in comfortably as an adult. Yes, these seats aren't designed for adults, but if you did need to, you're in a spot, you needed to get into the back seat, it's a bit tricky. There's not a lot of room. I'm not even going to fit in there, unfortunately. But the good thing is the kids back there will have air vents and they have a fan control as well. So that's pretty good. But the fact is this is the most accessible side, but this is also the road side. And I don't think I'd want my kids trying to get in the car while there's cars coming past. But anyway, that's how it is. As for boot space, the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro Max is a little tight with all 3 rows up. You'll get just 117 litres of storage space. However, with the third row folded, luggage capacity expands to 479 litres. A temporary spare wheel features across all 3 Tiggo 8 variants. Let's now talk a little bit about running costs. All Chery models in Australia come with a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty. As with servicing, the Tiggo 8 will cost $1,400 over 5 years, with servicing needing to be done every 15,000 kilometers or 12 months, whichever occurs first. As for fuel economy, Chery claims the all-wheel drive will use a claimed 8.7 litres per 100 combined. In the real world, we found the Tiggo 8 Pro Max all-wheel drive used around 9 to 9.3 litres per 100 with a combination of driving environments. Not so bad. Fuel tank capacity is 57 litres and unleaded 95 octane or higher is recommended. So what's this new Chery Tiggo 8 like to drive? Well, we're on the road, it's all happening, we're at the launch, and this is our first impressions of the car so far. Underneath the bonnet of this Tiggo 8 is a 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine. It produces 180 kilowatts of power and 375 newton meters of torque. So it's pretty punchy, and it certainly feels good even in a pretty heavy car that this is. This is the ultimate spec, so it's got all-wheel drive rather than front-wheel drive. And I think in general the engine is pretty well suited. It feels powerful enough for most situations. Mated to this 2-litre unit is a 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. It's certainly quick shifting, but I find it a little bit hesitant at times, especially at low speed. It can be a little bit clunky from time to time. But once you're up and moving, it just feels like a pretty comfortable car. The seats are really comfortable, the driving position's good, and the suspension is actually pretty well sorted. It's well damped, it's not floaty or uncontrolled. It's a really good effort from Chery on its first 7-seat SUV. Now, Chery has told us a lot about how safe this new Tiggo 8 model is. It's got 18 different safety systems happening, and while they're generally pretty good, the real annoying point is that driver monitoring system. You take your eyes off the road for a split second and it'll bong at you and say, you haven't been paying attention. So I think that could be tuned a little bit better for our Australian market. Now, we did drive 2 different variants of the Chery Tiggo 8 on our drive program. We drove the Ultimate, which is this car, and we drove the mid-spec Elite, which is 2-wheel drive. And I honestly think that the 2-wheel drive model actually drives a little bit better. It seems a little bit more controlled, it's more involving, and it just seems to be a bit lighter on its feet, and that's for good reason, because this car is about 120 kilograms more than the 2-wheel drive, and I think it is that sweeter driving package, the Elite. But the Ultimate is pretty close to being, you know, on par with a lot of its competitors. It's got decent ride quality. It's got a pretty efficient turbocharged petrol engine. This engine's getting about 8.8 at the moment. Its claim is 8.7, so it's not too far off. And I think that maybe it would be a little bit more efficient with a turbo diesel or a hybrid, but we're just gonna have to wait and see about that. I hear a hybrid may be coming, but not for at least a year to 2 years. One thing I will point out, which is a bit funky, is this center rear vision mirror. It's got this strange, like, convex sort of style setup where it's very wide and it's not very zoomed into the rear of the vehicle. So you sort of see a lot of the back seat, but not so much of the actual back window. It takes some getting used to, that's all I can say. Now, the Chery is pretty feature packed, and I think that's one thing that sets it apart from some of its rivals. Even in its base grade, it is very well spec'd. You get things like heated and ventilated seats even on the base model. That's pretty impressive. So I think for the price, this car, $47,990, it's pretty good. That actually, for a top spec car, is a lot cheaper than some of its competitors. I'm really looking forward to getting more of a sense of how to live with this car day to day in a future Chasing Cars long-term review. Fingers crossed. Are there things that can be a little bit better with the driving experience? Well, other than the driver monitoring, things are pretty good here. The vision is very good all around the car. The screens are really clear. The speedo could be a little bit bigger, just the digital speedometer, but I think it's a well-finished car, and it's really gonna start shaking up the industry and its main competitors. People need to drive one of these and see for themselves. So what are my final thoughts on this new Tiggo 8 Pro Max? Well, I think it's a really competitive car for the market. It's gonna really shake up the industry. And with this Ultimate trim with all-wheel drive, $47,990 drive away is certainly very compelling and tempting. It's highly spec'd, it drives pretty well, and it's got tons of safety features as standard. I've been pretty impressed so far, but we're gonna test this further with a full Chasing Cars review down the track. But what are your thoughts on the new Tiggo 8 SUV? Is it something you'd consider for your family? Well, let us know down in the comment section below. And while you're there, make sure you like and subscribe to Chasing Cars.